For lots of students, this is the fun part of the exam. You've done the technical bit in part A, so this is where you get to be a bit more creative. Because in lots of ways, this is a creative writing task, so you get to be a bit more playful in this section. It doesn't mean you can't revise for it, it just means you need to prepare rather than revise. Lots of students say that they avoid this question though because they don't think that they're creative enough. They almost always surprise themselves. If you don't think you're a particularly creative person, then there are lots of tricks that you can learn. There are also ways to pretend to be a bit more creative than you really are. Either way, being creative doesn't mean being spontaneous. The first rule for this question is not to create any new ideas in the exam. Instead, give yourself a head start by having a bank of ideas ready to go into the exam with. So when you're preparing for this section, come up with 5 different ideas for objects, 5 characters, and 5 different settings. Think of it like having these ideas as a pack of playing cards. Each category is its own suit, or think of it like a Rolodex of ideas that you can spin around in your head and browse through in the exam. So let's start with objects. So to get your 5 objects, we need to generate some ideas. Start with a central image. A suitcase always works really well here. They're very versatile, they can fit into most settings, and they also work as a good springboard for the story. So if the question is for you to write a story on a train, for example, you can zoom in on your suitcase and start the story there. And so go to your bank of ideas. If you don't have a suitcase, perhaps you've got a paper bag instead. Either way, plonk your object at the start of the scene, and then any drama or action can unfold from there. You can then ask, well, what's inside it? Has someone left a suitcase behind full of clothes? Is it full of books? Is there a dead body in it, or body parts in your bag? Before doing your next practice question, create 5 different flashcards with 5 different objects on them. For example, mine are a used wine glass, a backpack, some spectacles, a torn photo, and a child's toy. Now, you can use one or all of these scenes if you want to add some detail, or you can use it as inspiration to start off the narrative. Now do the same for your characters. You just need a loose idea for now of some people to bring into your story. We can think about their personality traits a bit later on. So for example, my characters for this is, so we have an old woman, a young boy, a busy woman, an old man, and a trendy dad. You should only need to focus on 1 or 2 of your characters in the exam, but just like with your objects and everything else you need to revise for, it's good to be prepared with a few extra. Now, if you're struggling to come up with any of your own ideas, just head to Google Images, search for, say, an old man, pick one you like, give him a name. We can think about characteristics later on, but for now we just want to invent 5 different people. You can also get inspiration when you're out and around, whether you're in a cafe or on a train, or you can go to social media, get some ideas there. You can even base a character loosely on somebody you know. Likewise with your objects, if you can't think of any right now, just look around you. What's nearby? A coffee cup, a notepad perhaps, a picture frame with a photo of a dog in it. Use these objects around you as inspiration to put into your scene. Then you can start putting them together. For example, an old man sat by the window wiping his glasses. Or the young boy was falling asleep and slowly losing his grip on his teddy's paw. Another one. The woman stopped typing, then looked out the window and smiled. The boy noticed and gently kicked her chair so that she'd smile at him too. We're now partway there to developing a story. So if the question asks you to write a story about a character who's new to the area, for instance, think about which of your characters would best fit the scene, and then, given the question, decide what objects they have on them when you first introduce them to the reader. So in summary, prepare rather than revise for this part of the exam. Don't wait until your exam to create all these new ideas. Go in prepared with a bank of ideas which include 5 objects, 5 characters, and 5 settings. Go people watching, out and about in public or online for some inspiration. Write down any intriguing people or distinctive objects you see. Choose your characters and objects wisely. Make sure that they best fit your question. And lastly, practice and practice and practice your narrative writing to improve your technique. Think of different environments and situations to put your characters and objects into, and eventually, by the time you get around to the exam, it'll be dead easy to just get going.